Hey everybody, it's Redbeard back for recording the draft portion this time for you all. Warrior today, which, as some of you may know, is my favorite class. Uh, so here we have a couple one drops and we have a commanding shout. Young Priestess is acceptable, but generally, one health minions are not something I like to go in for. So I'm going to take commanding shout. Since you draw a card when you cast it, it's never too negative an impact on your deck, and sometimes you can, get a few favorable. Kor'kron Elite, one of the solid warriors you want to get. I really play as many hands-on. Here, gonna take the Cruel Taskmaster. Could be Frostwolf, but honestly, for my late game cards, I like to have higher impact things, and the Cruel is a fine 2-mana minion. So between Arcanite Reaper and Heroic Strike, Arcanite Reaper is usually a 2-for-1, can do a lot of damage to your opponent. Heroic Strike's much more efficient. As problem I found with it is that it actually generally gets worse when you have a lot of weapons, because don't need Heroic Strike plus weapon to take down minions most of the time, and your health tends to get really low when you're using weapons and Heroic Strikes together. So I'm going to go with the Fiery War Axe, one of the best warrior commons, not much to see here. Shield Master, good. Against the Heroic Strike, I'm going to Shield Man. Like I said, I already have 2 weapons, and the Heroic Strike gets worse with weapons. Here we can take Armor Smith. Ancient Watcher is too much setup cost for me. I don't really like it. Murloc Tidecaller, 1-mana 1/2, barely gets bigger than that. Bloodfin Raptor is fine 2-drop. Arathi Weaponsmith, another one of the amazing warrior commons. Here we have really a tough pick. Mortal Strike, Sunwalker, and Kodo. Mortal Strike is fine removal. Goes to the face at the end of the game. Kodo, good minion, usually a 2-for-1. Sunwalker is a solid late game card, and since I don't have any of those yet, take it. Direwolf and Youth Brew, gonna take the Brew because it's better by itself. Here I'm gonna take the Heroic Strike over the Dire Dog. Dire Dog is really hard to use sometimes to its full potential. It's really powerful when you do, but difficult. The second Arcanite Reaper is a lot worse than the first one. It's either that or Turtle. I don't like Turtle though, so I'm gonna get the second Reaper. Cleave is good removal, better than the Owl. Charge is not really a card. So we have a mediocre late game card, pretty bad 2-drop, and a pretty okay 2-drop. And I'm gonna take the okay 2-drop. I think I can get better for my late game. Don't like Silver Moon, gonna take Heroic Strike. Acidic Swamp Ooze, one of the best neutral 2s. Always take that card. Warsong Commander, a fine 3. And my first 3, notably. Fairy Dragon, another really good neutral 2. With so many good 2s as I have, Defender of Argus is actually really good. And the Ravenhold Assassin, mediocre game. 2-mana or 1-mana 2/1s. Gonna take the Execute. It's fine to remove. Grab another Warsong. Alright, it's getting kind of late, and I still only have the 1 late game minion, so I'm actually gonna take the here. It's because I need something big. Slam versus Cleaves. Actually, tough pick. I'm gonna take the Slam. Cleave can be harder to use, and Slam is just generally useful. River Croc, Spiteful Smith. Normally this is pretty close, but since I have so few mana cards, I'm gonna Venture Co. That's great. That is actually just wonderful. Some late game power. Speaking of which, Twilight Drake's fine. And we have 1, 2, 6 spells for the Gadget in. Other option is the second Commanding Shout. I'll take Gadget in. So this deck's not great. It's got a really solid early game though. Hopefully good minions and the fairy tracks and a little bit of might be able to opponent. I've only got a handful of late game cards, but the 2 Arcanite Reapers mean that a lot of times I'll be off my opponent to a late game, which is promising.
Versus Thrall! For Doomhammer, victory or death!
Pretty much what is expected. A bunch of 2s in my opening hand, which is nice. Kind of get to pick based on the situation. And Defender of Argus is fun. I'm almost definitely going to coin out one of these 2s. Probably the River Croc. Because shamans do have a common weapon that I might want to keep. Swamp Ooze. Still trade with not as valuable later in the game. Alpha. Speaking of, Doggy now. Kill that taunt totem because I must attack the taunt. So on the 3rd turn I have a couple options. Depending on what my opponent does or does not. He just totems up again, I'm probably gonna start dealing. That's fine, he doesn't actually kill the Croc. And really hoping for not Searing Totem there. So the question is, would he have played Stormforged Axe that turn? At it. Would have let him kill the deck. Instead of I'm gonna go ahead and play the Ooze. I've got the defense in my hand that I like to play. If he plays a Storm, got me. Storm. Actually gonna hold on to Ender. Because putting the taunt on the River Croc when it's only got 1 health left is not cool. I'd rather put it on something bigger instead. And the extra points of power, like one of them would be wasted that turn. It's gotten 1.
What to do?
So I could kill the back half of that harvest.
I wonder.
I think that's actually the best.
Man.
Once again, Defender of Argus there. A lot of it we wasted. If I'm not killing the Harvest Golem, it actually exposed guys to dying to double attack from it. And if I am killing the Harvest Golem, that's way more than hacking it twice after you.
Get behind me.
I have a couple options how I can get that. Him and the rock. Defender. I like slam. That's actually kind of a... I get to keep this Crocker around.
No problem.
Along with the fact that it drew me a card. It's actually pretty incredible value. I ended up spending no cards taking down that bay. I have all this great.
I wonder.
That's pretty rough. Luckily, like I said, I have the end already. And that would normally happen to have the perfect card to handle. So I have twice as much health as my opponent. I'm down basically half a card on him. As his turn has one more card than me, but on my turn, but I have the Venture Co. half a left. So all in all, it's a good. There's to be a mistake sequence from him. Well, I was going to mute for a second on whether or not I should. Since my draw was Zerathi Weaponsmith, and it's the best play I have this turn, it doesn't make much sense for me on to the last charge of the Fiery. Remaining question was whether to take out the token. And since going for his face doesn't really reduce my clock effectively, put him to 12 power I can send at him. And the totem happened to be a spell damage totem. Enable him to out my guys.
The Frost Wolves stand ready.
Shields up.
So this is a clear desperation play. Quite obvious from him that he doesn't have. He neither has a good answer to my minions, nor a way to like stabilize the game.
my shield for Argus.
Just gonna go. No. And that's game 1 in my favor. So let's come back and check in again for part 2.